Hey guys, it's Ryan here with DP Marketing.Services. Hope you're doing well and staying safe, and thanks for tuning in. Coming at your video, we've seen a lot of stuff being spoken about and talked about in different Facebook groups and even involving different marketing companies that's causing some confusion about the types of marketing that should be leveraged at different points of the business. So I thought it'd just be kind of helpful if we just had a little kind of whiteboard session and talk about maybe some of the theory and the best practices behind why and how different marketing practices are used, right? So I'm going to gear this like you're just a normal business owner, right? So if this is your first time watching a video, you probably don't know, we work only with plumbing, HVAC, and electrical contractors. We have companies we work with all over the US and Canada. But for the most part, we focus only on digital marketing. So that's website SEO, PPC, stuff like that. That's all we do all over North America. But we kind of have a background in understanding how larger, more complex marketing mixes work together. So this is an idea that I want to walk through with you. Pretend like you're just any business, right? So if you're a baker watching this or a chiropractor watching this, the same insights will be gained to you, right? So the first question, if you think about this being a just a funnel saying this over here is a commodity, right? So this is a commodity sort of product. And this down here is a like a really boutique product. So commodity would be things like toilet paper, right? You have toilet paper, it's nothing fancy. Everybody has toilet paper, or a gas station might be a commodity product. Boutique might be exactly what we think of, like a really unique chocolate place, or a place that does really high-end custom jewelry or fancy guns, whatever, right? Boutique, commodity. One of the first questions to ask yourself is, on this particular spectrum, where would you put your business? Okay, so if you're a gas station, maybe you'll put yourself up here somewhere-ish. If you're something like that's very specialized, let's say that you do a certain type of brain surgery, I don't know, maybe it'd be down here. That's kind of where you put yourself on this particular metric, right? So that's kind of step one. So if you're watching this video and you are plumbing and HVAC contractor, here's where it gets kind of weird. On one hand, you're a, well, to use the political term now, you're an essential service. You're kind of on the commodity spectrum, right? However, you're trying to position yourself within that commodity spectrum on the more boutique side. So for the sake of like thinking about this practically for a trades business, by default, most people think of all plumbers kind of just here. But what we try to position our companies is to be like, well, they're the very, very best of the plumbers. So we try to pull them out towards the bottom of the clients we work with. So that's a little bit of a side rail. The other question to ask then is, great, let's start thinking about kind of the mix on this marketing. So maybe you say your business is here, right? Maybe on this spectrum, that's where you say your business is. Now we need to start overlaying marketing channels that most effectively work that particular segment. So at the top of the funnel, this is going to be called awareness. Awareness is going to be top of funnel marketing. A lot of branding happens here. Aware, I'm not going to spell it all because my handwriting sucks. But awareness will be the top. Big examples of this are going to be like mass media. So TV, radio, I can't spell, billboard, etc. Right? So these are going to be like the top of the funnel things that you will do. With those, the top of the funnel practices are going to be, so like billboard, for instance, is going to convert about 10,000 to 1. Which that conversion rate basically means for every 10,000 eyeballs that see it, one person will become a lead. So if you are doing a really niche like chocolatiering thing, right? If that's like your super specialty, like not many people do, a billboard's probably not the right thing. On the other hand, you have a couple other segments down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Down here is going to be are going to be things like referrals. And this is this bottom of the funnel is called conversion, right? So this is their immediate customer, their money's in their hands. The referral spectrum is going to be here. So anything you do to entice customer referrals will be there. Anything. So I would also say like AdWords would probably be here. It's very bottom of the funnel. People are making a buying decision here. They're not making a buying decision with TV, billboard, radio. They are when it gets to here. And then you have these other things like preference. Or I'll start here. Let's do interest. Interest is, I'm interested in what you do. I like chocolate. I like cars, whatever, right? You're not a customer, but you're kind of warming up to the idea of whatever this particular business is. So the way that you'll start dropping down is you'll start doing different types of marketing, right? So these things might be email or mail. You might be doing newsletters. If you're like well-known, you might be doing press releases. You might be doing things just to get on people's radar in a meaningful way. Who would likely be interested in you. The next segment down would be what we call preference. Again, sorry about my handwriting. Preferences, it's really, really important. I always joke with people and say, like, my kids who are younger, they're under the age of 10, their preference is that we go to the McDonald's 5 miles away from our house rather than the Whataburger 2 miles away from our house. Whataburger, if everyone has a Whataburger, you know they're better than McDonald's. And yet my kids prefer to go to McDonald's, even though it's out of the way. The preference determines where the dollar goes. So preference is going to be here, anything that a customer identifies themselves in a way that feels a sense of allegiance. Social media is really good here. SEO is often used at that particular segment also. But when you start thinking about like all the different channels you can do at the various tiers, the best impact, the shortest path to marketing efforts to dollar being produced comes from lining up the marketing with where your business is on the spectrum, right? If you are selling toilet paper, it'd be kind of silly to focus on a referral marketing program, at least initially. Like there's an argument to be made for it. But if you only have $1,000 to spend, that's probably not the best way to spend it. It's probably best spent on getting as many eyeballs knowing you exist as quickly as possible. On the other hand, if you have a very high-end product, if you're very niche, if you're very specialized, it would probably be best to focus down here and not up here, because most people are going to see these and just going to wash out 10,000 to 1. And as a specialized service, you might just need 5 or 6 deals a month to make it make sense for you. And that's great. Focus down here. Now, here's where some of the confusion sets in. A lot of guys start talking about, hey, can you do postcards or do you want to do remarketing? And some of these terms, people don't understand exactly what they do and how they fit into this mix. There is nothing at all wrong with postcards or remarketing, things like that. So postcards are going to be things that are going to be kind of up the funnel a bit, right? They either don't know you exist and they're just dropping a piece of mail to everyone that lives in that zip code or in that neighborhood or in that city, whatever, or anyone who set a trigger, right? Everyone who bought a car in the past 6 months. You're just getting on their radar here and you're hoping to get an offer to them where enough of these 10,000 to 1s wash out where you can get enough leads coming in. Remarketing is actually a little bit different. So the idea of this, if you're unfamiliar, the most common example, there's a couple versions, but a most common example would be somebody visits your website. So they're here, they're looking for somebody to solve their problem. They leave your website. And then what happens is with remarketing, you start sending those people ads that they see on other websites that they go to. And you see these every day, all day long, right? If you go look at a car dealership somewhere, the next website you go to, you're going to see that car dealer ad popping up. So remarketing is this other idea where you keep people spinning back and seeing your name. Here's where it breaks down with specifically remarketing. Remarketing, if you're commodity level, if you have a long buyer acquisition cycle, it is a really, really powerful tool, right? If you're selling tennis shoes and people are taking their time doing the research and the consumer reports and looking at different color options and who has the best price, if your customers are taking their time evaluating, making a purchase decision for shoes, remarketing is a no-brainer because it keeps you and your brand and your business in front of the customer as they're going through this process. However, if your customer is doing an impulse decision, so if you're a tradesman, that would be things like, crap, I've got water all over my basement. It's my hot water turned off, something like that. They're not spending a long time figuring this out. They're going to pick 2, maybe 3 companies to call. Those companies are probably on the page 1 of Google, and they're making a decision that day, right? If they go to your website and leave, chances are they left because they felt like you couldn't be trusted or you couldn't solve their problem. They're not coming back. Spending money to go back for those customers isn't always a good call. Here's where it might change, however. If your business is 100% residential service, I have a really hard time making a strategic argument that retargeting those customers is a no-brainer. I have a hard time making that argument. And the reason is because, again, when you're residential service, they're making a decision fast and then they're done. So if you don't pique their interest and take them to preference and try to get them to become a lead on that first experience, you're going to have a hard time circling back later and closing that loop again. However, if your business is, let's say it's a mix of commercial, let's say it's a mix of government contract, let's say you have a mix of like new install, let's say you specialize in something like geothermal, right, which is a long acquisition cycle. Now I can make the argument for retargeting making a lot of sense. Because now instead of spending your time going, help, I've got a clogged drain or my garbage disposal is not working, and you're retargeting those people, now you're retargeting people they're building a new house. It's probably a very expensive house, and somebody's talked to them about the idea of geothermal solutions, so they're looking into what is it? What does it do? Who does it in our area? How much does it cost? What's the expected energy savings over the lifetime? These people are taking their time. They're not down here as in making an immediate decision. They're up here. They're informing themselves and they're coming closer to the decision point. Retargeting for that group, if your business has a mix like that, is a really good idea. If you do remodeling, retargeting is a really good idea. If you're 100% residential service, it's a tough pill to swallow. Now that said, there is an argument to be made. If you say, hey, I've got a certain amount of budget set over my month every month. Let's say I've got, I don't know, $1,500 a month that's just I'd like to spend on something. And I'm okay if I don't get any leads from that $1,500. I could make an argument for, great, retargeting or even another variant of retargeting called lookalikes would be a really great way to help boost brand presence and awareness, to help focus on this side of the funnel for the next customer acquisition cycle. Right? So if you're like, hey, I've got $1,500, we got to spend it somehow. I don't care if we get leads from it. I just need to make sure that the budget's being used. Cool. But please know, when you spend money on branding or awareness parts of the funnel, your ability to attribute those leads gets very, very difficult very, very quickly. It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's a bad idea or a broken strategy. It just means it's really hard to do. It doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. It just means that if you're in the game right now saying, I need as many calls as I can get from everywhere, cool. That sort of immediate sort of push, focusing up the funnel probably isn't a good starting point. I would say focus down the funnel, right? Get the things where customers are making the decisions. Does that make sense? Because I know this is a little bit academic, but the more that you as a business owner can understand how these things work, the better armed you are if a salesman comes knocking your door or cold calls you or whatever. Because a lot of the salesmen and marketing companies have no idea what the crap this is, right? Guarantee you, most of them haven't studied marketing. They don't have any sort of post-grad work. They don't see the research. They're just people who are hired up off the street, just like any sort of salesman would be. And they're telling you what they're told to say. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that unless you're informed, it's really hard to kind of wade through what's crap and what's not. I'm trying to help you wade through what the crap is. So if this makes sense, top of funnel, bottom of funnel, like high-end mass media, very targeted, very specific. Now, specifically in retargeting, there's another couple types, right? There's the one I mentioned was somebody visits your website and you retarget them with ads that they see in other websites. So that's a very common option. Another common option is the same thing, but on Facebook. So somebody visits your website and then you see ads on Facebook. So that's a different tool than Google. It has nothing to do with anything AdWords. That's Facebook ads. However, the process is the same. If somebody's in the middle of the funnel, they visit your website and then they go away, you can start triggering to show them ads on Facebook. Cool, great, easy enough. Another one that's kind of a unique hybrid of digital and physical is there's a company, I think they're north of Houston, if I remember right. North of the Woodlands, I don't remember, somewhere. But they put a code on your website that when people visit your website, they actually send them a physical postcard. So they visit someone's website, cool, they actually send them a postcard in the mail about your business. So it's kind of this, it's another way to leverage the idea of retargeting, but to do it in a way that kind of catches people off guard, right? Because like, oh, I was just reading about this the other day online. They don't actually realize that they were tracked, and that's why they get the postcard. But I digress. Just understand how the different tools work, right? So if you're down here, focus your dollars here. Once this and down is solid, then start moving up, right? So if you're here and you're like, cool, we're solid preference. We need to have solid brand, solid reputation. We need our SEO presence strong. We need to be found everywhere online. Well, great. Lock down this part of the funnel and down. But if your goal then is to try to grow, like once this is established, then you start moving up and dominating each particular segment as you go up. Eventually, bringing on TV, billboard, radio to kind of fill this funnel out. It will maximize all the leads. Everyone will know your name. It's really, really powerful when it's taken to that level. But if you start there, you're going to struggle. You won't have the cash flow to support it. You won't see the leads that it's creating. Start where your customers are, where your business is positioned, and then start expanding from there. I hope this is helpful. Again, I know this is a longer video than normal, but I hope this at least gives you something to think about. I would love to hear your opinion. So if you don't mind, leave a comment below. As always, guys, follow us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.